He said, "You think just 'cause you're at home, you're safe?" And then he grabbed him, dragged a 16-year-old black student across his living room floor like he was a sack of garbage, bloodied his lip, bruised his ribs, all because of some noise complaint that didn't even come from his house. But let me back up a sec. It was supposed to be a normal Thursday. Just another quiet night in South Auburn, a sleepy corner of Mississippi that still tried to pretend it wasn't soaked in ghosts. Jalen Watts, honor student, future architect, quiet kid with too many library fines, was at home working on his justice and equality essay. His mom, Miranda, was in the kitchen, humming some old Sam Cooke tune while steeping her late-night tea like she always did. Outside sirens. Not the loud, screaming kind, but the creeping, coiled kind. The kind that makes the dogs bark and the air thicken with something unspoken. Then 3 sharp knocks. Not police knocks, war knocks. Miranda opened the door, half asleep, in house slippers, and that's when they stormed in. No warning. No warrant in hand. Just bodies in black and blue and boots. One of them stocky build, slicked back hair. Badge slightly tilted, pointed at Jalen and said, "That's him." Miranda barely had time to ask. Him who, before they were on her son. Jalen stood up, confused, holding nothing but a pen, and they slammed him to the floor like he'd pulled a weapon. He screamed. She screamed. And the neighbor's porch light flickered like it was bearing witness. They cuffed him on the floor of his own house, pinned his shoulder to the carpet. One cop sneered. "You think that poster on your wall changes the world, boy?" Pointing to the one Jalen had just taped up that afternoon. It said, "Justice for all." Bun. Miranda tried to stop them, ran to grab her phone, but the one with the slicked back hair shoved her so hard she hit the counter, split her lip. She landed in a pile of broken ceramic and silence. And here's the twist, y'all. Miranda Watts wasn't just anybody. She wasn't just a mom. She was a former federal prosecutor. A woman who'd once stared down cartel lawyers, corrupt judges, and backroom deals with nothing but a binder of case law and a neck scar from a client who tried to kill her. But that night she was just a mother, and that made her 10 times more dangerous. As they dragged Jalen out barefoot, still in his gym shorts, Miranda stood up, wiped the blood off her chin with the back of her hand, didn't cry, didn't scream. She just looked one of them dead in the eye and whispered, "You just made the worst mistake of your life." They didn't care, they laughed. They always laugh until they don't. At 3:17 a.m., while her son sat in a holding cell downtown, Miranda sat at her kitchen table, still in that blood-stained robe, and opened her laptop. She started with the name tag she'd seen on the one who'd grabbed Jalen, then the badge number, then the dispatch records, then the traffic cam from 2 blocks away. In 4 hours, she had everything. Everything. Dispatch logs proving there was no call for her address. Bodycam timestamps showing the moment they muted their mics. An old complaint from a black teacher who'd been stopped by the same officer 2 years ago. And the kicker, footage from her own doorbell cam. The sound was distorted, but you could hear it clear as hell. "Shut up, black boy. You think the Constitution gonna save you?" By sunrise, Miranda wasn't just awake, she was in court. And she wasn't alone. Jalen's English teacher showed up, holding the printed draft of his essay. The school's guidance counselor came too. So did her former assistant DA. And by noon, the story was live on every local news outlet. Then national. Then viral. By the time they brought Jalen into court, his arms still covered in bruises, there was a crowd outside the courthouse steps that stretched 3 blocks. Protest signs, cameras, voices. One kid had drawn Jalen's face on a poster with the words, "He was doing homework." And that's when everything flipped. The prosecutor's office tried to offer a deal, drop the charges in exchange for silence. Miranda didn't even let them finish the sentence. She stood, walked across the room, and placed her bar license on the table. "This courtroom belongs to people like my son," she said. not people like you. And then she ripped them apart, one by one. Started with the body cam footage, froze it at the exact moment they slammed Jalen's head into the wall. You could see his mouth open, not in defiance, but mid-sentence. He'd been saying, wait. Then she called the officer's training supervisor, made him admit under oath that Jalen had no record, no threat, no warning. And then came the doorbell cam audio. When that slur played aloud in court, you could feel the room change. A bailiff turned away. A juror wiped her eyes. Even the judge leaned back, visibly shaken. But Miranda wasn't done. She ended with Jalen's essay, Why Justice Matters. Read it aloud, every line. And when she reached the last sentence, her voice cracked just once before she steadied it. And justice isn't a system, it's a promise. And when you break it, you break us all. Silence. Then a single clap. Then another. And then the verdict came down like thunder. Every officer involved fired. Pension revoked. Civil suits opened. DOJ investigation launched. The commander resigned on live TV. His face red. His voice trembling. His badge left on the podium like it weighed 1,000 pounds. And Jalen. He didn't speak much that day. But when he walked out of the courthouse chin high, eyes steady, someone handed him back his essay. It had a new grade at the bottom, not from school, but from the crowd. Just one word written in Sharpie. Truth. Miranda wrapped her arm around him, and as they stepped onto those courthouse steps, the sky cracked open, and rain began to fall. Not a storm, more like a cleansing, as if the world itself was trying to wash the blood off its hands. Now, you tell me, was that justice? Or just one mother, doing what the system refused to do? Because here's the thing, they didn't see Jalen as a student, or a son, or a dreamer. They saw a body, a threat, a target. And Miranda, she reminded them painfully that black boys don't walk alone. Not when their mothers know the law. Not when the truth is louder than their sirens. Not when the whole world is watching. So let's talk about it. Was Miranda right to bite back literally and legally? Were the firings enough? Or does justice still owe Jalen something? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let the world know where you stand. Because this time, the silence is the crime.